Welcome back to Bangkok ChitChat. This is the Pattaya Report, and we're joined by Craig McAvenny in Pattaya. So we'll just get straight into it. So how are things down in Pattaya?
Things are starting to improve, that's for sure. You're seeing quite a bit more life out and about. I think we all know that the situation is improving when it comes to the number of tourists that are coming to Thailand in general, and of course Pattaya gets its fair share of those. So you are seeing things sneaking their way back up. Still a long way to go, but baby steps forward.
So what's actually happening in Pattaya with regards to improvements? They've been talking obviously there's the walking street changes. They've been talking about roadworks and things like that. What is actually happening down there? I mean, you're at the stage where they were putting, like in Bangkok, a lot of telephone lines and etc. and power cables underground. Has that actually happened?
Yeah, you are seeing it starting to happen around the city. I mean, interesting you mentioned Walking Street. I've not actually been down there myself personally, but a lot of people I've been speaking to have been saying that, as you say, that half of the street is, under construction and being dug up. And I think that's part of what you're saying about the cables, but also part of a whole sort of regeneration like we spoke about in the past, where they're looking to probably change the way that the types of establishments that are down there. And I understand that some of the bars are open, but it's certainly not as easy to get from A to B because of the state of the road, basically.
Yeah, because you recently had the mayor elections. I think that was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, similar to Bangkok, and the comment, one of the platforms were sort of stating was they were saying that they wanted to focus on the drainage, traffic chaos, pollution, and disgraceful state of the paths, but also that's their short-term targets. But also they got the bigger projects, that the high-speed rail, the development of the airport, and also they're extending the Bali Port Authority. So this is mayoral candidate Kun Sinchai Satana Satawan, yeah. And they also said that they were focusing regarding development of Pattaya. That they were talking about 90% of the income came from short-term tourists, which was more sort of internal to the country. So just now they're not getting many Chinese tourists, but they're getting some European tourists.
They'll be getting hardly any.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, I think a lot of this is about these stories or these plans were in place pre-COVID, weren't they? And then of course COVID put everything on pause. I mean, we've known about the idea behind the fast railway. We've known about the idea behind, regenerating the front and Walking Street and that type of thing. And I guess that when COVID happened, there was no point in continuing to discuss these aspects.
Well, they should have been getting on with it. Yeah, they should have just been doing it. So, I mean, they basically shut down Walking Street.
Yeah, I suppose it's difficult though, isn't it? Because they don't know when the timings on everything, do they? And I think at least if obviously the mayor's gonna want to put a positive spin on what he's saying, and hopefully what he says is right. But at least now we are in a position where we know that restrictions are being eased rather than increased. Thailand Pass being an obvious sort of illustration of that, and of course the bars actually were only legally allowed to open as bars with effect from the beginning of this month. I think we all know that there was a lot of them operating under this guise of restaurants anyway, and you probably wouldn't have noticed a huge amount of difference between going out and having a beer on the 31st of May and having a beer on the 1st of June. But that said, from a pure legal standpoint, bars, karaoke's, these types of things, nightclubs are now legally allowed to open, albeit they've still got the 12 o'clock closing. Again, in the legal sense, not necessarily in the real sense.
Well, it's funny because there was a report within the Pattaya Mail, and they obviously got a quote from this guy Greg Watkins of a who's a UK-based travel consultant, and he said our customers right now want to return to Thailand for a fun-packed vacation. What that means, I don't know, because that might be outside how Pattaya is trying to be seen. They will put up with environmental problems because pre-entry registration alcohol restrictions have been largely abolished as of from July 1st, which we'll go into in a second. However, if the Chinese return and the roads are clogged with tour buses, they are likely to look at less crowded destinations in Cambodia and Vietnam. So, thing is that if there's more Chinese coming, there's more tours. That's the thing. I mean, Third Road, they say, is basically dead. They can't open because there's no Chinese. Yeah?
I think they want, you want some crowds, that's for sure. And I guess also it is also low season now as well. So
yes.
I think what we're all sort of hoping for, and you mentioned before about 90% of the tourism being short term, which again is presumably domestic. Well, it's either Thais or foreign residents of Thailand that are coming on breaks. Obviously, that number will lower, and hopefully the number of international tourists will increase. And the high season plays a part in that. But I guess there's a few factors to consider. I suppose on the positive side, you've got people that haven't been on holiday for maybe 2 or 3 years, especially somewhere like Thailand, because they were waiting for the restrictions to ease. The flip side of that, of course, is that everything's more expensive at the moment. We have a kind of in inflation and a cost of living crisis, if you like, in many developing parts of the world, in Europe and the UK and the US. So there's that aspect as to whether they can afford the visit at the same time. So we'll have to wait and see. But all we can say, I think, with certainty is that this high season will most definitely be bigger and better than the last one and the one before that.
Well, I think already, because they're saying that 20% of the original sort of venues, and of course new venues have opened, people taking the opportunity of buying closed venues, 20% of nightlife venues are fully open again. Yeah, so it isn't as if there's nothing to do when you get here. There's plenty to do. So that's good. So we'll go on to a little bit more about what's happening on July 1st. Basically, in summary, I think everything is back to normal as far as entry is concerned. So businesses can open as per pre-pandemic COVID, what do we call it, times. Yeah. However, that means, so people understand, is yes, places will be open till in entertainment venue areas till 2 a.m. Yeah, but the normal little bar will still have to close at 12. Now, Pattaya is a law upon itself on opening times, as long as you make the right contributions. Yeah, so that is in many ways that is good news that the pubs are allowed to, pubs and clubs are allowed to open till 2 a.m. Yeah, I think in many cases. I know some restaurants and they shut basically about 11, 12 because there's no customers. Yeah, so they don't see any point in staying open. So I think it's not just being open till to 2 a.m. It's whether people actually want to be out until 2 a.m. to make it worthwhile for the venue to be open. I'm talking about pubs and restaurants, not clubs.
Yeah, pubs and restaurants. I mean, yeah, of course, as you say, well, clubs and the bar scene here, as you say, is a late scene. I mean, there are. Some tourists that they're pretty much nocturnal when they come to a city like Pattaya, and that's what they're here to do. So yeah, I mean, obviously easing the opening hours is definitely a plus. Although as we all know, as you say, they've been 12 for the last ever since any kind of opening's been allowed, and I think we've all known there's plenty of places where you can still carry on drinking after that. So it's good that they're making it understandable for people that are from afar. I think that's an important thing, because obviously it's all well and good us living here and being on the ground and seeing that places are open late, and somebody coming along and saying, well, actually, if you go out, you probably wouldn't notice a huge amount of difference. That differs from somebody who's, sat in the UK reading whatever media about what's going on here and sees that the law still says 12, he's going to probably, wait until things are back to normal. But I think it's a vaccine certificate or proof of a negative test if you're unvaccinated are the only two requirements to get into Thailand from the 1st of July. And like you say, the although it's not been confirmed, as they nearly always seem to use the first of every month as a trigger date to make a change, then I think the 2 a.m. opening will happen on that date as well. Although all they've actually said, I believe, is that they will happen in the near future. They haven't confirmed that it'll be 1st July, but all being well, 1st July, you hear that, it's in the Royal Gazette. And then as I say, we're almost there. We're almost back to where we were before all the restrictions were in place.
The other thing was, just to summarise for everybody, so July 1st, there's no requirement for the insurance purchase, which was a pain for many, which was to have $10,000 of coverage. You do not need to have that now. You can arrive in Thailand with only proof of a full COVID-19 vaccination or a negative test from within the previous 72 hours. Also, with regards to masks, as of July 1st, you do not need to wear a mask. However, where there's a crowded environment, which we don't know how that is really defined, you're expected to wear a mask. What I would suggest, though, is that in Thailand, people are obsessed with masks still. Yeah. So you may feel a little bit uncomfortable or get unusual looks from people as you're walking around not wearing a mask, but you make your own judgment. But basically, it's not.
I think outside. Here outside, I wouldn't say that. I think outside now, probably 1 in 2 people that you see, they haven't actually got a mask on when they're walking down the street.
Certainly not Bangkok.
They'd often have. Sorry?
Bangkok, everyone's still wearing masks.
Yeah, it seems to be more prevalent in Bangkok, maybe because perhaps you're walking down the street because you're going to, jump in a taxi, or you're going to jump on the SkyTrain, or you're going to go into an office building. Whereas here, you might just be going for a walk for the sake of a walk, right? Or going to get something to eat. So, I think you notice that people are walking around. Often, I do it myself. I'll have it around my neck. And of course, you've still got to wear it when you go into 7-Eleven and these types of places. But actually, on the street, I'd say probably, and this is probably Thais and foreigners. I think people are over it to some respect, because of course it was so almost convoluted, wasn't it? That you would walk down the street on your own, wearing a mask, open a door, walk into a busy bar or restaurant,
and take
the mask off.
That's right.
Any half sensible person would suggest that the other, doing things the other way around would make sense. But I think, as we know, with a lot of this, the sensibility's gone out the window. But anyway, positives. We're moving forward, as I say. Longer bar opening hours, easier for tourists to come in. I see events. I think I've mentioned before, that I'm sort of in the past, I've worked with various sort of sporting celebrities that enjoy coming to Thailand and doing events. And I've been speaking to a guy who brings a lot of the footballers over and that recently. And he's got some people coming over during this month, and I'm doing some work with my friend Jimmy White as well. So, all these sort of things where...
Where is the event for Jimmy White? Do a plug. Come on, give a plug.
Yeah, Dark Side Bar, tomorrow, Thursday the 23rd, which is a new bar, funny enough, on the dark side, up near Siam's Breeze on Kautalou. So if anyone's free tomorrow night, then come over. And actually, the guy who runs it, Ben, turns out he's from Jersey, where I'm from. So... it should be a good night there.
What time?
There's also from 6:30. I'll probably get Jimmy there about 7, 7:15. But the event starts at 6:30, and there'll be an opportunity to play against him, and so it should be a good night. And there's another one on Saturday at a bar called Hideaway, which is in town, and he'll be there as well. Same sort of gig. You can turn up, pay usually around about 1,000 baht, depending on what the bar decides to charge, and you can get a match and a photograph with him. And as well as Jimmy, I see Lee Sharp, the former Man United footballer, is also going to be in town. Liverpool are playing Manchester United in Bangkok on the 12th of July, which a few people may or may not know about.
Really?
And the idea is that he does... It's what, sorry?
Jeez. Even die-hard Manchester United fans turned around and said 5,000 baht for the cheapest ticket, 25,000 baht, which is what 600 quid, yeah, to go and see them, yeah. They just said no way, yeah. I mean, okay, they've got to make money, but wow, and it's sold out.
Well, it would be. I mean, of course. I mean, it wouldn't. The market's not us, though, is it? I mean, the market's
No, it's
locals.
not. Yeah,
I
but
mean, that's,
wow, what
I
a
mean,
price!
you know, we're probably lucky enough to have gone to watch them at Old Trafford or Anfield or whatever if you're a fan. Whereas, of course, a lot of locals will probably never get that option. So, yeah, you can understand why they're willing to pay that price because they are big fans. And this is ultimately their only option. And I guess as somebody who's marketing the event, you know, it's like anything, isn't it? If someone's willing to pay 20,000 baht, then you're not going to sell it at 15, are you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so yeah. I mean, certainly from our perspective, and of course, you know, all that aside about the you know, not being able to watch it, it's not a competitive game at the end of the day. It's a friendly, and you know, there'll be no doubt there'll be a number of the top players will probably still be getting rested, and or they'll have a 10-minute run out or whatever it might be. So certainly I wouldn't be spending even 5,000 baht, as you say, going to watch a friendly personally, despite being a football fan. But when you're a Thai who's a huge Liverpool, a huge Man United follower, and they're in town, then I guess you treat yourself, right?
So a couple of other things is we were talking about off camera a little bit of the cost of living. Yeah. So for people that are living here, you'll see big differences with your energy bill, yeah, and water bill, and also generally food. We've been talking. It was in April, about 4.5% inflation rate. March was the highest at 5.7%, and we really don't see any changes. Prices are going up. You can noticeably see it. Another thing is related to that. I think this is why the government has retained the emergency decree. They've said they're keeping that open for let's see how they said it. They said decree powers will be open for unspecified concerns. So there is some concern of some political argy-bargy, yeah, not a coup. I'll stress that, but there's political argy-bargy going on. Actually, I've never said that word for a long, long time, argy-bargy.
Yeah.
So I mean, also on salaries just now, it's the same as the UK. Reading the UK is what's happening is salaries have not gone up. You now got these railway strikes which are going into place. Salaries have not gone up for 2 years, but inflation is coming along, and people are struggling even if they are working. Yeah. Just now, the exchange rate within for the UK pound is 43.82, which but in February, March, it was about 45. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's an awful lot more expensive. I think Thailand is I can actually see people coming to Thailand just to stay here because it's probably going to be cheaper than staying in the UK. Switch off the electricity. Make sure your pipes don't freeze.
Inflation's definitely catching up in these parts of the world. I mean, you know, we're not quite up there with the US and Europe at the moment, but yeah, the same issues that they're facing have a knock-on effect here. And then, like you say, you know, sort of 5.5% is certainly the highest it's been for some time. You know, the Bank of Thailand is talking about raising their interest rates here in order to combat that, which again is quite a dangerous policy given the amount of credit and the amount of debt that I think exists within the domestic market. But that's something they have to look at. I think, as you say, I mean, one of the aspects I've noticed is, yeah, I mean, of course, fuel, we all know that's a global issue. Filling the car up now is, you know, sort of 2,300, 2,400 baht versus, you know, what was 1,800 sort of 6 months ago. So you're talking huge sort of percentage increase on that. But I find on day-to-day living, of course, your local street vendor who sells your pad kapow, you know, they can't put 5 baht on. So, of course, what they're doing is they're just giving you less food, right?
Yes, they do. I mean, I remember 2-3 years ago you could get, you may get some noodles for maybe 30 baht, yeah? Now you're talking about 40 to 50 baht, yeah? They don't look at inflation, they just put it up by 5 bahts, yeah?
Yeah, but that can affect their market massively. So
everyone's doing it, they just copy each other.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I suppose it depends. I suppose if they've had to increase their prices in fairly recently, and then now they're still struggling to, to make money or make a profit, even with the increased price, then one way for them
Oh,
as
yeah, I
food
understand
vendors
it's
would be
not
to
their
sell less
fault.
food,
Yeah,
right?
it's not their
Yeah.
fault. But I mean, it's funny how it always got up by 5 baht. You know, it's 5 baht to 10 baht in one shot. So you're talking about 20%. Yeah. So obviously they have to cover their increased costs as well. Yeah. But I'm not sure about in Pattaya. Is street food still everywhere in Pattaya, or because they restricted it here? They're talking about loosening things up on street food because they weren't allowed to be in the footpath. Yeah. Here, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you still have food. I mean, on the streets. I mean, where my office is very close to a large hospital, and obviously outside the hospital, all the staff that work there and that need to go and have somewhere to eat. I mean, it's not on a scale like you have on the markets in Bangkok, but yeah, to the best of my knowledge, there's no kind of zoning like they tried to do in Bangkok all that time ago, wasn't it? Rather than just have
Yeah.
people sort of plonking themselves anywhere. But I mean, there's a lot of restaurants obviously are in abundance here, and fairly sort of lower cost restaurants where you might pay 5 or 10 baht more, for a Thai dish, but obviously you get the benefit of air conditioning and that type of thing.
Yeah. All right. So that's about it. But maybe we can just leave things in a high note because it's a lot better than it was 6 months ago. Yeah. So things are up on the
Yeah,
up and
absolutely.
up. People seem to be happier. I know that business is improving for most of the people I've spoken to. Yeah. So yeah, let's just hope things continue and things pick up in Pattaya and we start seeing more neon lights down in the street.
Yeah, like I say, I think if you walked around at sort of 6 o'clock or whatever around the LK metro area and that, um, some of the bars you say have not managed to open again, so there's probably only 70% of what there once was actually open, but the number of people probably wouldn't look too different to a normal low season.
Okay, listen, thanks very much. Thanks very much for your time, Craig. Good to
You're
catch up.
welcome. Thank you for having me. And as I say, all being well, July endemic status rather than pandemic, and we can all keep moving forward.
Yep. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And if you get any comments, please add the comments below and we will answer them. And also if you get ideas on something you want us to cover, please let us know as well. Thanks very much. Have a good remainder of June and beyond. Speak to you later. Cheers.